What I like about this selection here at the museum and the icons that they picked is there are odd and unusual icons.
The Rainier beer bottle caught my eye.
I'm just wondering where the eye holes are.
Well, those were made in the early 1970s, and that was a period when actually there was a lot of interest in Bigfoot. A lot of people were claiming to see Bigfoot. You had the Patterson-Gimlin film in California with Bigfoot, you know, kind of trudging through the forest. So I think it kind of draws an interesting parallel in a tongue-in-cheek way.
I like to think of this as a best of show, like what's the best of our collection.
Space Needle Jim Beam bottle made into a lamp.
From my perspective of what's best, which is admittedly subjective, the foundational elements are all my favorite things. If I ever have to document, well, why is the Historical Society important? Why do we keep all this stuff? There are a few things I go to routinely and say, here, this is why we're in business. This is why it's important to preserve these things for our posterity.
Ezra Meeker's wagon and a film that has Ezra Meeker in it that they found in the wagon.
These items are irreplaceable. They're foundational to the history of Washington as a place. And so we've brought some of our best stuff and put it out on view, and that's why I find it so exciting personally.
So what exactly is an icon of Washington history?
I thought a lot about that because as I was writing my book, I had to think what went on the list. And for me, it was, what did you think of when you thought of Washington? What came to your mind right away?
Something that transcends its time and place, reaches across time to tell an interesting story.
People right away say, oh, Starbucks, oh, Microsoft, oh, rain, salmon, mountains, things like that. And then there are things that just have a lot of history in them that become icons.
You know, much like on your computer screen at home, you kind of click on an icon and the program opens up. Well, that's what we're doing with these icons. You kind of click on it in the sense of engaging with the artifact and talking about it and reminiscing on it, and the program opens up. In this case, the program might be your memory or your gee whiz factor, I didn't know that. The chronological extent of this show goes back at least 10,000 years to the Clovis Point, which was uncovered in a famous cache of ancient spear points for hunting down woolly mammoths and mastodons. That's the oldest known antiquity that has ever been uncovered here in the state of Washington. But then there's the more recent stuff.
I was very happy to see a piece of Galloping Gertie. I was very excited to see that because so many people have heard that story, have seen even the film footage of it falling down, but to actually see a piece of it was exciting.
And if there's the icon of icons in this show, it's Mount Rainier. It's on our license plates. It's the clearly most distinguishing geographic feature of the place. And so we have this painting that's 6 foot by 12 foot. It's the largest known painting of Mount Rainier ever rendered. So it's a magnificent specimen. We had it restored specifically for this exhibit.
From a historical perspective, also the Curtis photographs caught my interest as well.
The show is not exhaustive, but we didn't have room for everything. Other folks are certainly entitled to their own opinion. In fact, that's one thing we're hoping to accomplish here, is that people will give us their own, what's missing.
Probably to my mind, one of the coolest icons in Washington State that they've left out is the Hanford Nuclear Reservation. After all, it's a big, huge part of the state of Washington. There are only 2 nuclear reservations of this type in the United States. And I can't say celebrating it, but making it better known is a good thing. Because, of course, it was a good idea at the time. It was making the A-bomb to end World War II. And yet, decades later, we have problems with radioactive tumbleweeds and radioactive ants. It's like something out of a science fiction movie.
Bobo the gorilla, something that people identify with from Washington State history, and we still have around, literally, as a stuffed icon.
I would nominate Bob's Java Jive, which is the coffee pot-shaped building.
You can pitch in with your own ideas for Washington icons at the museum, or just go to the Featured Exhibits page of their website. A visit to the museum is a way to broaden your horizons without leaving town.
You have a lot of people doing trips here in Washington State, and this will give them some ideas and make them appreciate what's here.
I love that you can look at something that seems a little strange and learn about it, and then you learn a whole piece of history. This is a great opportunity to not only learn about the history of our state, but also see some things that have not been on display for a long time.
Some of the most precious items in this show was a common, everyday person on the street who decided to do something, record something, make something. History happens to everyone, we're all a part of it.
Seeing oddities and icons is not just a matter of going to out-of-the-way places, is you can go to the very same place and you just see it with new eyes. And that's what museums are all about, is actually enlarging people's lives.